suddenly says that he sees an itching dog, so he thinks, I'll try to find the flea and look at it closer.
І розглядає під мікроскопом усі.
Давай посмотрим, что тебя кусает.
І згадав.
And suddenly he remembered a tale of cross-eyed lefty from the Tula and Steel Flea, written by Nikolai Leskov.
Я понял, что в будущем новым видом искусства будет микроминиатюра.
I think that in the future, micro-miniatures will be a new art form that would be in tune with the movement followed by mankind, which creates new technologies, studying microengineering and micro-miniatures.
Технику, микроминиатюры.
Mykola makes his miniatures catching his breath for a long time and between beats of his heart in order that his pulse not move to his hands and prevent them from trembling. This is the Museum of Micro-Miniatures of Mykola Siadrystyi, or micro-art, as the author of the masterpiece calls it. Micro-miniatures displayed here seem to be outside the realm of possibility and human understanding. They're invisible without a special optical apparatus. It's impossible to make their copies, even using modern technologies, but the master succeeded in making them by hand. This golden platinum frigate consists of 337 details. This frigate is in memory of Alexander Hrin. It is 3.5 millimeters in length. It's the size of a match head. The sailing ships and tackles are 400 times thinner than human hair. It's unbelievable how he succeeded to make a 3.5 millimeter long frigate. He uses different techniques of processing of materials and three-dimensional wiring, which can be hardly done with the help of upgraded technical tools. Using state-of-the-art technologies, we can make this ship, but it will be in one plane. But I made a three-dimensional item. No jeweler in the world is able to do this, even for $1 billion. Why did the Ukrainian master dedicate one of the complicated items to a Russian writer? How much effort did he put into creating the masterpiece? And what attracted the attention of the State Security Service to Siadrystyi's work? In 1975, Mykola Siadrystyi created his next masterpiece. In spite of the fact that there are works which took him much more time, the item entitled In Memory of Hrin is considered to be the most complicated item displayed in the Kiev Hall of Micro-Miniatures. It took me 71 days to create the ship. I remember it well because the Paris Commune existed 71 years and 71 days. This is a pure coincidence. The length of the ship is 3.5 millimeters and the width 3/1000ths of a millimeter. Only the parameters bewilder those who have seen this ship. How did the author manage to create such a masterpiece? What knowledge and skills did he acquire to do this? We don't know how the artist succeeded in constructing this microship. It's a long process. First, he makes drawings based on physical, mathematical, and geometrical calculations. All the calculations are done in microns. But after that, using the drawings, he creates his works. I'm well aware of the properties of jewelry metals, gold, platinum, and silver. I know how to polish and clean them, so I do whatever I want with them as long as I can see them. I'm familiar with processing technologies and know all the secrets of the process, because I was engaged in secret research of microelectronics.
Я был причастен раньше к секретным исследованиям по микроэлектронике.
It was not only Mykola Siadrystyi who took part in the secret research. Certain scientists have done this as well, but Siadrystyi is the only one among them who became a phenomenal master of micro-miniatures. Does it mean only the knowledge of metal properties is not enough?
помню это, что 71 день, я никуда не ходил. Дело в том,
When I was making my
чтобы
miniatures,
делать
I
эту
did not
работу,
even step
надо
outside of my
быть
studio.
собранным.
In order to do this work, a master must be totally concentrated only on that work. When you take a walk along the streets, the rhythm of your body changes. So you have to control your body, you have to make the correct movements. And in order to do that, you have to alter your physiology.
Вы должны преобразовать свою физиологию по выполнению точных движений.
Work on the ship, entitled In Memory of Alexander Hrin, became the greatest achievement of Mykola Siadrystyi. All 72 days, he couldn't afford to make a single mistake.
Я должен каждое движение обдумывать, делать его.
I have to think through every movement in my mind. If you make a movement and have doubts as to whether it's correct or not, it can activate regulatory processes in your body that can result in the inaccurate movement of your hand. You must believe your every motion. This is something like walking on a rope over an abyss.
Такое неточное движение. Вы должны верить точно. Вы должны идти как по канату над пропастью.
He learned to control his body so perfectly that he's even able to hold his breath for a while, like a yogi. Earlier, he was interested in yoga.
Как йог. Он йогой интересовался.
I would like to say that this is the principle of self-hypnosis. I studied hypnosis and self-suggestion and was well aware of it, so I created each of my works very confidently and accurately. Before doing each detail, I thought through every single motion I made.
Перед тем, как сделать какую-то деталь, я очень тщательно думал, как делать.
And it was only after going through that highly focused thought process that I managed to make the correct motion. This is a special physiological psychology that very few people know about.
Я почти никому не рассказывал.
As the artist says, every person has his own little secret. It's possible that the processing technique of unique micro-miniatures will remain a secret forever, but the reason why the master called one of his works In Memory of Alexander Hrin is not a secret to art historians. In the opinion of the Ukrainian micro-miniature master Siadrystyi, the Soviet writer and poet Hrin was the last true romantic in the Soviet Union.
Есть его рассказ «Корабли в лесе». Там это долго рассказывать.
Alexander Hrin wrote the narrative entitled The Ships in Lease, but this is a long story to tell. The story is about the author himself. Two characters are standing on a coastline and looking at the sea. It's a piece of narration in which Hrin gave a secret thought. Alas, the Soviet Central Administration for Literary and Publishing Affairs, that terrible Lenin organization, banned the suspicious statements from all books, and they missed Hrin's thought in his narration.
Они пропустили эту мысль Хрина, который вставил в свой рассказ.
How somber are summer evenings. Their flat half-shadows are walking, hugging with the tired sun on earth enfolded in silence. Their echo is drawling and slowly becomes sad. Their remoteness is in voiceless melancholy. It seems that everything is full of vivacity and life, but the rhythm of elegy is holding sway over a sad heart. This philosophical thought was banned by Soviet censorship.
Я понял, что это его тайный рассказ о себе.
I understood that it was his secret narration about himself, so I hit on the idea. I needed to make Hrin's ship. He was a great personality who succeeded in outthinking Soviet power.
Перехитрила советскую власть.
Recollection of Soviet power was not by chance here. Mykola Siadrystyi had a strained relation with the communists. He could have even forfeited his life. In the mid-80s, after Siadrystyi paid his next visit to the US, some unknown person spread false information about the Ukrainian art master. One day, talking to someone, Siadrystyi said that the Soviet Union would collapse and that it would probably be quite soon. People standing near him heard his words and informed about this fact to the corresponding agencies. At that time, such a statement was analogous to a death sentence, especially if the so-called competent authority learned about it. So, needless to say, the Soviet authority rapidly responded to the artist's statement. Bring me Siadrystyi. As soon as the plane on which Siadrystyi was flying landed in Moscow, he was invited. No, he was rather taken away and then escorted upon invitation to the Lubyanka prison. He did not have a clue as to what the talks would be about and what the reason was for such an invitation. Mykola Siadrystyi could have been imprisoned in Lubyanka for life. In the Soviet Union at the time, people were shot dead or even exiled for making much less serious statements against the regime. But much to the fortune of the communists and Siadrystyi himself, the head of the Soviet intelligence and counterintelligence service, Yevgeny Petrovanov, was informed about this fact. I think he was a very honest man. He absolutely despised the Soviet system with all his heart and soul. And there were all the reasons to think so. In 1951, at that time, Deputy Minister of the State Security Service Yevgeny Pitovranov, nicknamed Pit, was arrested on a false charge. Pitovranov underwent cruel tortures in the cellars of the building of the headquarters of the USSR Ministry of State Security. The tortures lasted for over a year. He lost all of his teeth and all his ribs were injured. Stalin called Lavrentiy Beria and asked him, does he confess his guilt? Tell us, how did you become a participant of the Zionistic plot? I repeat, once again, I never took part in any plot. You're lying. And Beria says, no, he's probably not afraid of death. And Stalin understood that if he shoots Pitovranov, he will not enjoy himself. Then Stalin asks Beria, what family does he come from? He's from a religious family. Beria answered. Maybe Stalin remembered that he learned at school of theology, and he said to Beria, listen to me. Ordered to secretly shoot everyone who beat Pitovranov. In 1953, all the charges against Pitovranov were withdrawn. He was not only returned to service, but also promoted to the highest rank. At the time of the meeting with Mykola Siadrystyi, Pitovranov was on the list of servicemen of the Military Reserve Force of the Committee of State Security and headed the USSR Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He worked for Kuibyshev half a day in Moscow. It was the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, a counterintelligence organization. And he spent the rest of the day at Lubyanka. He hated this system. So after I was interrogated, he became very interested in me and my personality. Pete was a fan of Siadrystyi's talent, so he didn't open a criminal case against him. On the contrary, Pitovranov promoted Siadrystyi's trips abroad. Besides, Yevgeny Pitovranov helped not only Mykola Siadrystyi. In 1959, he rendered assistance to the famous ballerina Maya Plisetskaya. Thanks to him, she obtained a permit to go on tour to the US. But Siadrystyi charmed Pitovranov not only with his talent, but also with his intellect. I said to him, do you know, I'm well aware of the properties of materials, gold, platinum, and silver. I know how to grind and polish them, so I do with them everything I want, as long as I can see them. But my main interest in life is how to influence a crowd, how to turn a nation into a throng of people. All the dictators of the 20th century, Lenin, Hitler, Mao Zedong, Stalin, Pol Pot, Ho Chi Minh, aspired to this.
Lenin, Hitler, Mao Zedong, Stalin, Pol Pot, Ho Chi Minh.
Moreover, talking to Pitovranov, Mykola Siadrystyi mentioned a date of the demise of the Soviet Union. But speaking the truth, he was slightly mistaken. He predicted that it would collapse a year and a half later than this historic event actually happened. How did he know all that? Why did Siadrystyi get interested in crowd control technologies? What does he know about historical figures? Watch in the next program. I studied the psychology of historic dictators and their secrets, even intimate ones. I know all the details of their private lives. Since that time, Mykola took interest in history. He read all the books by Marx, Engels, Lenin, Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini.